Autumn is the season of nostalgia, memory, longing, endings, and ghosts. It's no coincidence that this is the time of the year in which it was considered that the veils thinned and the ancestors were able to walk among us. The time of the year that is richest in stories of ghosts and goblins. Because the truth is that all of us are haunted. All of us have ghosts in our lives. When I first learned about the way in which Daoist practitioners define ghosts, something really clicked for me. In Taoism, ghosts are anything that haunt you. So ghosts aren't just the energy of a person left behind after they die. Ghosts are the left behind energy of old relationships, of words that said and were stung, of traumas. So in this way of thinking, all of us are still interacting with the leftover energies of instances in our life in which there was a tear in the resonance of our existence, in which there was a moment where we felt at odds with what was. And this is normal because many things happen in life that are just difficult or painful to bear. But in the Chinese medicine way of thinking, this literally creates a ghost, an energy that will continue on in our life and in some cases really haunt us. So in autumn, we have this ability to release the ghosts. In truth, the energy created by these ghosts in our life want to go home every bit as the energy of a ghost in a house, like you might see in a movie. These energies want to go back into the creative matrix from which they came. So you can do good work this autumn to release the ghosts of these old energies and traumas in your life and really send them back into the all that is, because you don't need that energy anymore. Plants and stones can both help us to do the good work of releasing ghosts. Flower essences can be particularly potent in helping us to give up the ghost. One flower essence that is commonly used for this is honeysuckle. In the Bach Compendium, honeysuckle is for those who are always looking towards the past, perhaps stuck in the way that things used to be, reminiscing about good old days, or maybe even feeling guilt or regret that a certain event took place in a certain way. So if you find yourself looking back often and have a hard time looking forward, it might be that there are ghosts of your past that are still attached to you. Honeysuckle can help us reframe in the present moment and really be aware of the richness that is in our lives right now and really what's possible in terms of moving forward. Another flower essence that can be particularly helpful for this is Star of Bethlehem. Star of Bethlehem is often used for shock and trauma. It helps us reorientate after we've had one of these upsetting events. Now, Star of Bethlehem can work immediately after a trauma or much, much later in life. One of the ways in which trauma is defined in Chinese medicine is as stuck blood or frozen blood. So in this way of thinking, blood is literally what animates us. It's what gives us confidence and vitality in the world. And when something happens to us that we didn't expect, our trust was violated in a moment, there's a part of us that freezes. In a shamanic way of thinking, part of our self sort of checks out because it's a little too scary to be there, or overwhelming or sad to be there in that moment. Well, what ends up happening here is that there's a pattern where we get literally stuck in that moment. Star of Bethlehem helps us move past that feeling of stuckness, move out of that moment of shock that can continue on for decades. This is often one that I'll use for PTSD or anyone who feels that there's been wounding in their life that still feels very much at the center of their experience. So within this Chinese medicine framework, one of the ways to release ghosts is to get full of yourself. So hear me out here for a moment. When I say get full of yourself, what I'm saying is get full of your own blood. There's this idea that if we have our blood really moving and flowing throughout our whole bodies, we're not susceptible to the energies that might come in and attach to us or take our energy away. You are so full of yourself, there's nothing else that you can fit in your being. So it's sort of like this idea when someone has really good blood in this framework and they walk into a room, you're like, that person is full of themselves, but in the best way possible. So how do you get full of yourself? How do you get your blood moving again after ghosts have been created? Well, first and most obvious answer might be exercise. Literally moving your body actually has the ability to energetically detach these ghosts. Another great ally for getting full of yourself is carnelian. In Chinese medicine, the stone carnelian was considered to help release attachments from us, literally to give up the ghost. Interestingly enough, carnelian is this very fiery red or orange stone, and in a lot of contemporary understanding of carnelian, we talk about it moving us to action and really igniting our inner fire and willpower. So again, we see this idea of stimulating and moving throughout our bodies. Lastly, you can also work with herbs for this. Specifically, you're going to look at herbs that are circulatory stimulants, herbs that are actually stimulating this flow of blood throughout our body. One that I like to work with in particular for this is Angelica. Angelica is a bitter and aromatic stimulating herb. Most often we're using the root, and we can actually see this plant being used across the world. And interestingly enough, we also see it being used very similarly, namely as a plant that can help us connect into divine guidance. This plant was used in shamanic ritual with the Sami. It was used in sweat lodges in what is now North America. And the name Angelica comes from this story that the Archangel Michael appeared to monks in the Middle Ages and told them, hey, you should start using Angelica for the plague. So Angelica, it really has this ability to enliven and move the blood and energy throughout our bodies. So you might want to check this out, especially if you feel like you have a little bit of stagnant deficiency inside your body, which can be seen as sluggish digestion or maybe cold and dragging cramps when you're on your period. The last thing I want to recommend here with releasing ghosts is this ancient Daoist prescription for using hematite. Hematite is what makes up the core of our earth. It is the iron-rich bedrock of our planet. And so in this prescription, you can use hematite in a decoction, which means you're boiling the stone. Now, I'm going to say to do this at your own risk. Boiling stones is not safe for every stone, and in fact, it is wildly unsafe for many stones. This stone, being mostly iron, is one of the safer stones to try this treatment with. But that said, always use your judgment. If you want to learn more about this treatment, which includes boiling the stone and drinking the water for a period of 7 to 10 days, you can check out one of the links below to my blog where I detail how to do this exact treatment. So if this idea of ghosts has ignited something within you, curiosity, interest, I have a brand new class that I just put online called Herbs for the Otherworld, and you can find out more of how to sign up for that class and listen right now, right below. So if you liked this video, share it with someone in your life who might be willing to let go of their ghosts. Share it with someone who perhaps is interested in really tapping into the medicine of autumn and all of the gifts that can be brought about just by being here now. Leave a comment in the sections below. I would love to hear whether you try any of these techniques and what kind of shifts you feel. You can subscribe to this channel to get even more content delivered to your inbox. And I thank you so very much for watching. Have a wonderful autumn.